Hello and welcome back to That Stitch-tastic. My name's Angela and I am a knitting instructor as well as a yarn craft cheerleader here in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area. And today I wanted to do a video to two reasons. A, to show you about lifelines. I know I've done a blog post before and I've also done a small video about removing lifelines. But I've never given you a real life example of why we have lifelines. And the second reason for this video is to show you we make mistakes. And it's okay to make mistakes as long as you can have tools in place to fix those, help you fix those mistakes. I am working on the cross stitch Afghan. This is in progress. This is actually an old pattern that was passed on to me by my husband's grandmother before she died. I believe this pattern was actually created by a lady in Grand Junction called named Sally Painter. And I've never met her, but I really love this pattern. This is actually a pattern that was made by my husband's grandmother for all of her grandbabies, and I'm in the process of trying to make this for like all the nieces and nephews that are born into the Childress side of the family. But anyway, so I was working on this a few nights ago while chatting with some friends, and I lost count of my rows. This pattern's actually really simple. There's 2 rows making the yarn overs in the cross stitch pattern, and then there's 4 rows of garter stitch. However, this last time I actually made too many rows of the garter stitch. You can see here's like from the 2 rows of making the yarn overs in the cross stitch. Here's 1, 2, 3 rows of garter stitch when there should actually be 2. Actually there's 4 rows and I made 6. So what's going to, before I started my yarn over pattern. So what's going to have to happen is 2 things. One of 2 things. I can either A, fudge it and make, and hopefully nobody notices, or I can fix it. So because I'm a little too much of a perfectionist, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rip out these rows and I'm going to correct this problem. However, because I don't have a lifeline in place, frogging back to this point is going to be a little bit of a headache. I'm going to have to be very careful that I do not lose these stitches. So now, however, I'm not going to show you the process of ripping out this row and these rows to fix this. That would be very boring for you. I know slow TV is very popular, but I'm just not going to do that to you guys today. So I have another project I'm going to show you as an example of how to place a lifeline in. Here's another small project I'm working on. This is called the diagonal stitch or the double lattice stitch cloth. I apologize, I got the names wrong, but this is the double lattice stitch, and it's this one's fun to knit. However, it is a little bit technical and it takes some thought. And if something happened, like my needle broke, my cord broke, and I lost these stitches off of my cable, it would be very, very hard for me to come back and try to pick them up and fix this cloth. It would probably make my head explode, and that's not very nice. We don't want to see heads exploding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a lifeline. I'm a couple of pattern repeats into this cloth, and this is a good place for me to stop and place my lifeline as a security measure, just in case. To place a lifeline, all you need is a tapestry needle, and you also need another piece of yarn that's similar size, and preferably contrasting so it's easier for you to see. So all you're going to do is you're going to take your tapestry needle and you're going to place it, first thread the tapestry needle. That's kind of an important step. You're simply going to thread the yarn through the stitches. And I like to insert my tapestry needle as if I'm purling. Like if this was my knitting needle, I'm going to place it through the stitch as if I'm purling. So I'm going to thread this yarn through all of these stitches. Now, because I have a stitch marker here, I'm going to be very careful and go around the stitch marker. You do not want to place the lifeline in the stitch marker. You want to only place it in the stitches. So you're going to thread them through. And once you get started, you can actually do several stitches at once, which makes it fairly easy to do. See? So, while I'm doing this, now this cloth is going to be a gift for one of my friends, and I'm really hoping she does not watch this video, because it would be very awkward for her to see her present before I got it done and before I gifted it to her. It's such a pretty yellow too. So you're just going to thread the yarn all the way to the end. And as you're threading it, be sure you do not pull this tail end through. You don't want it to pull this tail end through. Because to secure it, you can also weave in this end just to help make sure it does not fall out. But I'm not going to worry about that. I know some knitters do weave in the ends of their tail yarn just to secure it for their lifelines, just to ensure to have one more safety measure in case their stitches fall, but I'm not going to worry about that with this cloth. So, alright, we're going to keep threading this all the way through. So I guess we are having a little bit of slow TV today. This is, depending on the size of yarn and the size of your cord or the size of your needle, this can take a little bit of time, but it is well worth it, because it's probably going to take me, it takes me a few minutes to place the lifeline in this cloth. However, I actually put maybe an hour, 2 hours into each of my cloths. So a few minutes could potentially save me the 2 hours I would lose if something happened to my needles. And again, I'm almost there. Be patient, bear with me. So, such a gorgeous day today. I'm actually sitting here in my craft room and I've got my windows open. I don't know if you can hear them, but the birds are really singing. This is a nice change from the weather we've been having here in Oklahoma the past couple days. And I know weather has been kind of adverse in other parts of the country as well. So I hope you all are well and you've survived storms and floods and without damage. So there we go. And 3 more stitches. Okay. So I've got a completed lifeline. And this is important to have as a safety measure, because like I said, say something happened, like my cord broke or God forbid the tip of my needle fell off and I lost the stitches to some of my stitches off of my needle. Instead of all of this section unraveling, I can just come back with an emergency needle and thread them back on and just start knitting again. So that is a lifeline, and this is a very good reason of why we create lifelines in our knitting, because things can happen. We can make mistakes that we have to rip back. Oh yes, we can make mistakes. I've been knitting for years and I've been teaching for several years, and I still make mistakes, and it's okay to make a mistake. That's why we have these things in place to help us correct our mistakes and go on and finish a beautiful piece of art that's created by our own hands. Well, thanks for watching my video. Please subscribe if what I do it helps you in any way. And I hope you have a stitch-tastic day, and I will see you again soon. Have a wonderful day.